Now let's get working with a user being able to upload a post. So the first thing we want to do is to go into our models.py file, and right here we want to create a new model for the post. So say class post models.model, and we want it to have an ID. We also want it to have the user, and it should be the username. We want it to have the image which the user is uploading, the caption of that image, the created at, that's the date it was posted, can name that created at, and the number of likes. So giving it all of these fields. And ID, we're going to use the UUID field. So first of all, we need to come up and import UUID. So this UUID just helps us to generate a unique ID for this particular field for each of the posts. And we also want to import something else. We want to import date time. So say from date time, import date time. So this date time is going to take care of this created at, so it will get the date that post was created or uploaded. So now for the ID, let's say models dot UUID field, and we'll say primary key equals true. So this primary key equals true means is like this is the ID now of this particular post, the identification of each of the objects. Now this is because once we have an ID, as a default, Django creates an ID for us, which just has like the first post we have an ID of 0, the second post 1, 2, 3, and so on. But we want to change that. I want to give it this unique ID. So it's going to have like a long character, but it's going to be very unique. I want to set that to the main ID of each of the objects. So it's basically replacing the initial ID when we say primary key equals true. But anyways, anytime we are using an ID field in a Django model, we need to say primary key equals true. If not, it will just give us an error anyway. So now let's say default equals UUID dot UUID4. So now this is what we need. We are using the UUID field. Primary key is set to true, and the default is UUID dot UUID4. So now the user, this time around, we're not using a foreign key. We're not joining them together. What we're just going to use is a character field. And this is what is going to go in here is the username. That's the owner of the post. So let's just say 100. And then image. Now image is going to be an image field. So models.image field. Upload to. And then we'll say, let's upload it to, let's say, post images. The other one, which was this, we uploaded it to profile images, but this time around we want to upload it to post images. Say post underscore images. So that is done. And the next one is caption. Now this is just going to be a text field. Say models dot text field, and we don't need to put anything in there. Created at is going to be a date time field. So say models dot date time field right here. I will give a default of date time equals now. So we'll say default will have to be equals to date time equals. Close that up. So default date time equals that. And now next one is the number of likes. So the models, that's integer field. I'll have to give it a default equals 0 because when a user just upload a post, the initial likes number should be 0. And when someone like, then it will be increasing. And when someone dislike, it will decrease. So let's just return it in with post itself. We'll say return self dot user. This time not dot user dot username dot user, just because this is not a foreign key, so it's not an object that is being passed in here. What is being passed in here is just the username. So dot user. Now we can save this, and now that we have this saved, we can just come into our command prompt. First of all, we want to opt out of the server that is already running, and then we are going to make migrations and migrate. Python manage.py, make migrations. So this command line is just gonna, as I said earlier, it's gonna change or make the changes, save the changes that we made in our models.py file. So it's gonna save it into a file named initial. It's gonna save it into, okay, so it gives us an error, has no attribute UUID field. Okay, so the error right here is that this UUID field is supposed to be small letters. Let's just run that again. So each of the changes is saved into a brand new file. So if we come to this file, use yes, so 001 initial, then the more migrations we make, now let's just wait for that to make migrations. And when we migrate, you're going to see that there's a new file here. Okay, exactly. So we made migrations, that works. A new file is being created. It's just updating it. That's the way Django just works. You don't really need to understand why that is. That's just the way Django works with make migrations and migrate. That's what happens when you run that command. Money.py migrate. And now this is just going to migrate it to our database for us. Very simple stuff. Good. Now let's run our server again. And that's good. So now that we have this in our database, let's make sure that is running so we can go check. Before we check, let's register this in our admin panel. So we'll open admin.py, just say post. Now that we have that, we can close this up, and we can basically just go into our admin panel right here. And if we come to home, so once we come to home now, under core, under this core app, we should see profiles, and we should also see posts with this. Just wait for that to load. Second, good. As you can see now, we have this post model, and this is where we're going to be storing all the posts that every single user on our platform makes. So that's good. Now let's go back in there, and the next thing we want to do now is to go into urls.py and create a new URL for take care of uploading a post. This should be upload, upload, and we'll come into our views and just write here. We have a new view, a new function, takes a request, and let's just turn an HTTP response for now. Upload view. We don't just want to leave the response blank so we don't get an error, but just returning an HTTP response. And one more thing, let's also add this plugin required in upload so that a user can just go to our website and try to upload or try to send some data to it without even. Let's save this and let's save this. Now that we have that done, we're going to come into our index.html. Let me quickly go to our website. Right here where we see upload pics or videos. So once we click on it, it's going to open this. So we want the user to be able to choose file, and we want there to be a box for caption. So, the user can see the caption or see a field where you can input the caption, and there should also be a submit field. So now let's just go ahead and do that. First of all, we aren't uploading videos, so we just change upload pics to that's for where it is written upload pics. Right here we change this feed to pics. Right here also changes to pics. Now let's see the next thing we want to do. So before we even continue, I want us to be able to have like a text around that area that says welcome user. So the user might be around this area that can say welcome, like John. I think John is the one logged in now, so John, we know he is logged in. And another thing is we want to change this particular icon. This is just a default icon. Now we want to change it to the profile picture of the currently logged in user. Let's go ahead and do that. Now let's go to where we have this image. What I'm just gonna do, right click on it, and I'm gonna copy the image link. I'm gonna search for that image right here. So what I'm gonna do, instead of here, good, right here we can see it, what we're looking for. But we actually have it in, I think, 10 different places, as we can see here. So okay, I think this is it. So right here, what we just need to do, we need to go into the views of the index, and we need to get the profile object and then pass it in here. So we're going to come into views. Right here, we're going to say user object. So first get the user object, and we'll say user dot objects dot get one in which the username is equals to request dot user username. So now we have the object of the currently logged in user, and now we want to get the user profile object. The user profile should be equals to profile dot object dot get the one in which the user equals to the user object. Now I hope you understand what I did. So first of all, I got the object of the currently logged in user. Now that I have that object, I use it to get the profile. Now if we come into models file, we'll be able to see that in here, for us to get the particular object with the user, we need to provide the object of the user, since we're using a foreign key. We're using a foreign key and we're connecting it to this user model. So to get the object, the profile object of a specific user, we need to provide the profile, the user object. You understand? We can also do it another way. We can provide the user ID, but I just feel like this is a better way. So now that we have the that profile object, what we can just do is to pass that into our HTML. Just copy this now. Just a user profile goes to user profile, and what this is doing is that it's basically just sending this variable of user profile into our HTML. So right here now, if I come to index, I can remove this, and we can access that using the user profile. Say dot, and let's see what we use to save it. We use profile image dot profile image dot URL. So we use dot URL when we want to get the URL of an image field or a file field in general. Now if I save this and I come here and I hit refresh, But I shouldn't see this image here. Good. So I see the image of the currently logged in user. If I go to account settings and change the profile image, the new profile image that should. So we have that done. The next thing we want to do is to have the welcome John or welcome whatever the username is. So we're gonna scroll up a little bit. First of all, cancel some things. So right from this div up here, I'm gonna comment that out, and also this, just to clear as we are going. The ones we don't need, we'll cancel them out. Now that we have that, all I just want to do and hit refresh. Let's see. We have upload pics. Before this upload pics, we want to have, let's see. I think we can cancel this now. And we have the upload here. So let's look for something, find it. So let's see, please upload for that. Good. So now we are in the form basically. Right here, this is the input for the file where it says choose file. And what we can do right now, we need to make sure that this is inside a form, so we can basically post that form in there. So up in here, so where we see import videos from YouTube, that's not here, but okay. So let's just scroll up. So basically, when you have a template, you just for a way to look for how to or where to put your form. Okay, so this says please upload so we want to put the form, let's say around here before upload pics. See, okay, good. So the form should be like here. We have the form here. Cut this out, and wherever that div is ending, that is where we're gonna click. But it says the div ends here. Close it. This actually, do we need that? Okay, so we're closing the form here, we're opening the form here, and this is not part of the form. You can actually leave this, but image size maximum. And yeah, so now all of this is inside the form. Now that all of this is inside the form, we can have like an input for each of them. So what we just want to do right here, where we have, scroll up a little bit, pics of videos, we're going to scroll up to the end of the form. So this, comment that out and hit refresh. Let's see. Okay, so don't need to comment that out. Upload pics of videos, so let's just say upload pics. If we say that now we have a file field, is what we want, just hit refresh, make sure everything is working. All right, so now we have a file field, which is what we want. And what we're just going to do is to come here, we're going to remove it from this custom div. We're going to a form custom. I'm going to save that, and now under here we're going to have type. So come here, AF class UK text. All right, so now what we want to do is to say the type of the file, and then name equals to image underscore upload. So we save that, hit refresh. Okay, so we have this field now. We don't need this of all. So it says choose file, which is the image that we want to upload. And the next thing we want to have is like a text area. So let's go back there. So we want to have a text area beneath. So we can still be inside this div tag. Just have text area. Let's just close. Now that we have this, say let's give it a class. Button, soft, running, and small. Just give it that styling. Paste that in there. So now that we have that, we can give it a name and the placeholder and stuff like that. Let's say name equals caption, a placeholder equals caption, and just have like 3 dots. Now let's hit refresh and see how the form looks. If we upload page, okay, good. So now right here, basically have here where it says choose image, and right here also we have the place for the form to place for the caption in the form. So now let's have a break. We have a button. So what we want to do in this button is button. I want to give it a class so it would, have the styling. So let's say class equals 700, and let's give it a name or a type. So this button should be a submit type. So since we have these, right in here, you can say upload. Since we have upload, let's also give this styling of button. From here, that class. Let's see how our button looks. Alright, so it says upload, the caption, the image, and good. So I want to remove this or upload. Don't need that. And actually, what we can do is we can have our form right here. And we can close the form after this div tag right here. Let's just close the form. Then indented well. And then we can come down where we add that form. Set the form somewhere. So right here. Move the form there. Scroll up. No, not there. So this is in a form. That's good actually. What we just need to do, scroll up to where the form begins for this. We have added the form earlier. Good. So we can remove that now. Scroll back or way down that form. So now that is good. So now that we have this form, we can basically continue with what we want to do. What we just want to do now is to, allow the user to be able to upload an image, put the caption, hit upload, send it to our view, and then create a new object for those data. with those data. So now where we have our form right here, you can say action should go upload, and then method should be post, and one more thing, since we are dealing with, we have files in here, we have to put CSV type equals multi-part slash form hyphen data. Now this works, and now we can hit save. So since we have all of this now being sent to this upload view, we can come back in here, and in our upload view we can basically get all those data. So now in our upload view, the first thing we want to get is if the request of method is post. So if request the method equals to post, we'll do a specific thing. That's when we'll create data. But if it's not equals to post, that means if a user just tried to go to slash upload without even posting anything, let's just return the user to the home page. So that's good. So now if it's a post method, let's first of all get the user, the image, caption, and yeah, that's what we need. So for the user, it equals to request dot user dot username. So if we come into our models.py, let's see what we need to give. In our post, we don't need to put the UUID, that's a default. We need to give it a user, we need to give it the image and the caption. We don't need to give it the created at and no like. So just the image and caption right now. So we'll say image caption. So image is equals to request dot files dot get image upload. Let's just go ahead and confirm that right here in our form this image name was image upload. And then for caption, request dot post caption. That's that. And now we can just easily create a new one. So we can just say new post and be equals to post. Before we use post here, we need to import post. So probably not imported that. Only imported profiles. Now that we have post imported, we can say post dot objects dot create user equals to user. The we also want to give it the image. So if we come here, give it user image and caption. So the image equals to image, caption equals to caption. Now that we've given it all these details, we can come to the next line now and say new post. Let's say so. After saving it, we just want to redirect. Say return direct home page. Now this should work. Come back here and let's hit refresh. Okay, it's not running. Let's wait for this to reload. And once this reload, we can test that out basically. So loading. Now we can come into upload pics and let's the pic from here. That should open up folder, file manager basic, and we should be able to choose a pic, and let's just choose anyone, and we'll say nature, and let's upload. So it gives us this 403 forbidden, and now this is because in our form right here we used a post method, but we didn't add the srf token. So that must be there. Let's save this and go back, try to upload again. Here hit upload. Good. So it brings us back here. It doesn't tell us anything, doesn't show us anything yet, but if we come into the admin panel and hit refresh, be able to see a new post object created. So let's wait for that to load. Good. So now we see a new post object created for John, and we can have all the details of that post. So let's wait for that to. And I'm also going to explain something in this URL. So you can see now the ID which we put, the username, the link to the image, caption, the date it was created at, and now it has 0 likes. So remember when I said this UUID now replaces the ID when we say primary key equals true. So now in the link, that is the identification for that post. So that's what I was talking about when I said when we set primary key equals true. So that replaces the initial ID that Django provides and use that as the ID. So now we are able to upload the post and allow everything show like this, and allow it to save into our database and allow everything show like this. What we should do now is to return everything and show it in the post feed. When we come in here, as you can see, this is still just showing all these static images or these dummy images that we put there. So what we want to do now is to change this, and we want to get all these images and the person that it and whatever, once we get it from our database. Let's do that. So now what we want to do is to go ahead and customize this post feed. So right here, once a user logs in, what we want the user to see is a list of posts or random posts. But for now, because we've not yet implemented the feature of being able to follow a user, what we are just going to do is to show a list of all the posts we have in our database. So because we don't have the followers and following, when we implement that, we're going to be able to show only the posts of the users that the logged in user is following. So like when you log into Instagram or any other social media, that you see the post of people you're following or related or anything related to that. So that's what we're going to do later in this video. But for now, let's just take away these static images and stuff, and let's change it to a list of all the posts we have in our database. So actually this is very easy. What we just need to do is to come into our index view, and right here in our index view, we're just gonna say, so we don't need upload again, collapse that. And right here, what we want to get is, we can say feed list, or let's just say post equals to post.object.all. Now this is all we need to write, and we can just pass it in here by using a comma, and then like that. So now we can save this, and now that we have this saved, we can come into index, and right here in index, what we can just search for, first of all, we want to come and look for where we have this. These other ones, the ones below it, we want to delete any other one we have below it. We just want to leave this one, and then we're going to loop through it. So we're going to come, so we have this right here. So since we have this right here at Tomi the underscore ML, we know that that's the one for this. So post header post 1. So this is under post 1. Good. Post 2, let's also collapse that. Load more, let's collapse that. We're gonna just remove all this basically. Post 3, post 4, load more. Yeah, so we want to delete all of this. We just want to keep only one, so we deleted everything to post 2. Now if I save it and come back in here, what I should be seeing is just only this first post. Good. So this is all we have now, and what we just want to do is to open that back. Let's close that back first of all. So this post, we want to loop through it. In Django, when we are sending a list, come back here now. When we are sending a list from here, so we say post.object, or this is basically returning to us as a list. So this that we pass into the view is a list. So if we come in here now, we can basically loop through that list and just display all the data we got. So we can say for posts in posts, and then we're gonna end the for loop. So now that we've used the for loop, we can change this to the post dot, we can come into our models.py file, so the post.user. So this will change to the username of the person that posted it. Now let's try that out. So that is John. So for now, we just have this John basically just because, you know, the what is getting from the database as the user of John. So we also want to change the image to the image that this John uploaded. And yeah, so I'm gonna scroll down. So we have this delete post function, which we're also going to take care of later. So right here where we have image src, so we want to have post dot image dot url, and if we hit refresh, good. So you can see that is the image we uploaded that we have here now. And I just want to change the link, because right now if I click on this, it's still going to that image that we had earlier, but now we want to change that to this image. So let's just change that to this image. So whatever image it is what it should go to. If I click on it, it opens that image larger. So now the next thing we want to do is to have like a caption. So for us to have a caption, we're just going to look for where we can put that caption. So we're going to scroll down where we have the likes. So if we come down here, I think we have it right here where it says liked by. So in this place, we're just going to basically have a caption, and we can say, first of all, let's say I want to remove all of these. So don't need this. Not need this. And let's hit refresh. Okay, good. So we're just basically taking out all the things we don't want. And now let's see. Let's see what we have now. You know, we need that. Take this away. See. Okay, so right under here we want to have the caption, and where we have the caption, we have like the person that posted it and then the caption. So let's do that right now. And what we're just gonna do, so we're having it right under here. So where we have this right here, so we're just gonna say let's have a p tag, and in that p tag let's have an a tag. So this a tag is going to be the user, so we'll say post.user, and then we also want to have the caption of that post.caption. Let's save it and hit refresh. So now we have this is the user, and then we have the caption. So now we have this, but it doesn't look well. Let's like give this one a strong tag, and let's also link it. So what I want to do now is to cut this out, this strong, paste that in there. So we have John now strong, and this. So this and this, we want it that once a user clicks on one of these, it should take the user to the profile page of this user. We've not yet set up the profile page feature, but let's just give it an a tag first of all. So this has an a tag, but it should stop here. So let's just give it a link. Let it go to hash first of all, and if we scroll up where we have the post.user, that should also be in a link tag. So a, put that back in there, give it that, and give it an hash. Now if we come back here and hit refresh, once we click on it, it just basically brings us to this hash. But later, when we've taken care of the profile page feature, then we'll be able to link that. And also we're also going to do it that if this post is for logged in user, then the user should be able to delete this post. But basically now we are able to upload a picture and just showcase it in the feed. So let's try that out now. So if we upload a pics, we'll wait for that to load up the files, and now let's upload this, and let's say the world is beautiful, and then we hit upload. So now that we hit upload, we have this right here. So you can see now that we have the second image right here, like what is in our database is what is showing right here now. But as you can see, the second one is what is down. So we basically want to have the latest posts at the top. So to do that, we can come in here and say for post in post reversed. Hit refresh now. You see we have the latest post right here. So we've been able to take care of the field, the photos feed, and let's move to the next step. So now we stopped at this post feed where we can just easily get the data of all the objects we have in the post model in our database. So as you can see right now, we just have all the posts we have stored in our database. Well, normally we are not going to stop this post feed just like this because that doesn't make sense. We want to be able to customize it for each specific user. That means we want to get the post of the user that I am following, so not just all the posts we have in the database. But since, as I said in the last section, since we've not implemented that yet, we're just going to stick with this for now. And what we want to do is to be able to like a post. So this button here, once the user clicks on it, we want the user to be able to like that post. And also right here, it should be updated like this post has 3 likes, this post has 4 likes, and we should, once we unclick from that button again, we should be able to unlike the post. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now we're just going to come in here. The first thing we want to do is to have a URL where we're going to be submitting, the data of which post we are liking and who is liking that post. So we're going to come here now. We're just going to copy and paste that, and we're going to have a new path. We're going to name it like -post. So we're just going to copy this, put it in there for the name, and then for the views can't have an hyphen, it needs to have an underscore. So now let's just copy that for the view, and right here in views, we are going to close this for now. Let's create a like post function, and then we can just create it like under upload right here. So df like post, take a request, and let's pass first of all, and we also want it to have login required. So URLs, we save these also. Now this is good. The next thing we want to do is to come into our index.html. So right here, let's see where we have that like button. We want to be able to link it to submit like a mini form, not really a form, but let's see where we have the like button first of all. So there's the like button right above John, and then that should be down here. Okay, so this is the like button, I suppose. No, this is the other button to download. So now this is the like button, and as you can see, that like button is already linking somewhere which has an age. So what we want to do is to change it to /like post, like-post. So now once the user click on this, you should go to /like-post, but we want to go there by sending some data. So let's send post ID. So we want to send the post ID, and the post ID will be post.id. So let's save this and check this out. I'm going to refresh this page now, and then once I hover on this button, if you look at the bottom left corner, you are going to see that we have /like post, a question mark, then post underscore ID equals to the ID of that specific post. Now if we go to the next one, we see the ID of that post. So each post has a different unique ID. But since now, once we click on that, we're sending it to that view, it's going to give us an error now that this particular place does not return anything. So it doesn't have return an HTTP object. But that's for now. But what we want to do is, once we click on that, it will take us to that view, but within like a millisecond, it's going to take us to that view, automatically create a new object in our database, and that object is going to be under a model that we're going to create, and that model is going to take care of liking posts. So when a user likes a post, it's going to create an object that this post ID was liked by this user. So that object is, that model is going to have two fields, and then once it does that, it's going to check if the user has liked this post already or he has not liked this post. So if he has liked this post, it's going to update that, and if he has not liked this post, if he has liked this post, it's going to update that here by reducing the likes. But if you are not like this post, what it's just going to do is to increase the likes. So now let's just go ahead and do that. And once that is done, we want it to redirect us back to this. So right here in our models file, first thing we want to do is to have a new model. Say class like post, and that should obviously take from the model dot models. And what we just want to do is to have a post underscore ID, and that should just be a models dot character field, and let's have a max length like 100, and the username, that's the username of the user that is liking this post. Let's say models dot character field, and that should have a max length 100, and let's say df dr self. What we're just gonna do is to return self.username. So this is what we have now, and what we want to do before we even run migration is to go ahead and import that here in admins.py file so we can register it in our admin panel. Copy paste, copy this, paste, and save. So now that should be registered. But before we go and view that, let's make sure we come here. So it gives us an error, said models.model, that's not, doesn't exist. It should be model.model, that's models.model. I come back here now and cut out of that, Okay, so that should just cut out of that. And now we'll say Python manage.py make migrations. And this should save the changes and tell us what has been updated. Now we can say Python manage.py migrate. Now this is just going to migrate that to our database. Good. Now let's run our server back. And once we have our server running, good, we can just come back to our browser. And actually the tab where I opened an incognito tab or a private window where I logged the admin user in. I closed that tab, so we just have to open that again and quickly log in the admin user. So say /admin. And remember that earlier in this tutorial we created unique admin user. Let's just log that in. Good. So now we logged in and we now see a new model called like posts. So now once a user like a post, it should update here, and once a user unlike, it should also update here. And let's just go ahead and do that. So till this point now, we've created the model. Right here, we've been able to link to where the user will be able to save whatever the user is doing, whether liking or unliking. And what we just need to do now is to go to this view, the view of this URL, and now collect this data and do the rest. So now let's import like post. And right here where we have this like post, the first thing that we want to do is to just get the username of the currently logged in user. So say request.user.username. So that's that. Just got the username of the currently logged in user. And then the post ID which we sent from our template. So we'll say request.get and what we just want to do is to get post underscore ID. So we have that now. And then what we want to do is to get the post object. So since we have the ID of that post, we want to get the object, the entire object of that post. So say post is equals to post.object. So this post is actually the post model which we imported. If I scroll up here, right here, you see we have that post. So post.objects.get. We want to get the one in which the ID is equals to the post ID that is being sent. So now that we have that, what we just want to do, we want to first of all check, as this user liked this post before, so we want to check if this specific post has been liked by the currently logged in user, so that we'll know whether we want to like or unlike. So what we're just going to do, we'll say like filter. So we want to filter the database, and we'll say like post dot objects dot filter post underscore ID equals post underscore ID. So before I continue, let me quickly explain what I want to do. So I want to get if there is actually an object in our database in which the post ID, if I come into my models, in which the post ID is equals to the current post that is being sent here, and the username is equals to the currently logged in username. Now if we have an object like that, that means this user has already liked this post, so we know that we need to unlike. That's what I want to do. But if you are very familiar with Django, you know that when I want to get just one model, just one object, I need to use .get, not .filter. But that's when I want to get just one model, and that's what I want to do here. I just want to check if one model exists. But if I do that in this case, it's going to throw me an error, because right here I am basically not, if that does not exist, it's going to throw me an error. Now I can use an if statement and say if like.post.get blah 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 exists or not, but it's still going to throw me an error. And to solve that, what we just want to do is to use filter. Now when we have filter, we can just say want to filter in which the post ID is equals to this post ID, and then the username is equals to this username that we got, which is the currently logged in user. So if we have that already, what we want to do now is to say at the end of this, because as we know, this is going to give us back a list, but we just want to get one model, one object. We'll say dot first. So now this is going to give us just the first one it gets, which should even be only one in the first place. So now that we have this, what we can just say is, I'm just going to come here and I'm going to say if like filter is equals to none. Now this means that if it checked through the database and it didn't see any object that corresponds with this input that I gave, then that means the user has not yet liked this post. So we want the user to be able to like this post. So we'll say new like should be equals to like post dot object dot create. I want to create a new one in which the post ID equals to post ID and the username equals to username. Now we can just say new like dot save. And now the next thing we want to do, the reason why we got this post object, so remember that once we got the ID of the post, we have to get the object of that post. Now this is because if we come back here, we'll see that in this post object we have a field called number of likes. Now we just want to increase the number of likes when a user likes that post and decrease the number of likes when a user unlikes that post. So let's do that. Right here now, after saving that, after creating a new like object, what we can just do is to say post dot number of likes should be equals to post dot number of likes, but this time around +1, since a new user is liking this post. Now we can just also say post dot save. After saving that, let's just return redirect the user back to the home page. So this should work now. When a user tries to like the post, it should create a new object in the database. But after this, what if this query that we try to search for already exists? That means the user already likes this post. Then we want the user to be able to unlike this post. So what we would just say is like filter dot delete. So we just want to delete that particular object that we got since the user wants to unlike it. And then we'll say post the number of likes, this time around -1, and we can just say post dot save. And we can also do the same thing by redirecting the user. We'll say return redirect the user back to the home page. So now let's save this and then let's go ahead and test this out. So first of all, if we click refresh, you see that we have no post object here. But we come here now and hit refresh and we try to like this, so nothing shows, it didn't return any response. But if we come back here and hit refresh, we'll now see that we have a new object, and if we go in there, we have the post ID and the username of the user that liked that post. Well, if we click on that like button again and we come here and hit refresh, we'll see that that is gone. Now that is because the user unliked. So if the user unliked, we don't want to have that object again. So one more thing, let's just try to like this other post. So now we come here, we obviously have that here now. And if we go to that post, which is I think the latest one, we'll now see, okay, so it's not this one, it's the second one. That's post. We go to the second one. Now we see that it has, the number of likes is 1. But if I come back here and click it again, and I come here and hit refresh, now the number of likes is 0. So that basically just fix or solves that we want to do. So now the next thing we want to do is to just show like the number of likes this particular post have. We want to show it under here. So what we should do in there is to go into the index.py, index.html actually. I'm going to come in here and then just write under here. So right here, what we want to have is just to say, let's just make sure we are in the right place. Yeah, right here. Okay. So what we want to have right now is we have it on the inside the same div tag. So we want to have like a p tag, and let's just say liked by one person. Let's give it like that, and let's hit refresh. Okay, so it just says liked by one person for everything, but we're going to get the data from the backend. So this is liked by one person. Okay, but even if it's not liked by one person, it still says that. To change this now, what we want to do is to come into our views.py. Actually, we don't need to go into our views.py, because right here we're already getting all the post object and we are sending it here. So each of what we are looping through already has the number of likes, because each of the post object has the number of likes field in there. So now we can use this field, just come in here and say liked by post.number of likes person. So now you see this one says liked by 0%, this one say liked by 0%. If I like it, now it says liked by 1%, but this is saying liked by 0% because nobody liked it. But if I say, if I like it, 1%, I dislike this, 0%. So that's what we want to do to that, but this is wrong grammatically in English. So let's just change this to be right. So what we want to do is to use an if statement in the Django templating style. So we can say if post dot number of likes is equals to 0, then what we want to do, let's copy and paste this, is to say no likes. No likes. So since the post have no likes, let's just say no likes. But want to have an else if statement. So we just say elif post dot number of likes, if it's equals to 1, and we'll say liked by one person. But now if it's equals to anything except 0 and 1, that means it is from 2 above. So now we can say else liked by whatever people, just to make sure that is right. And now we can just simply end that if statement. So this is just the way we write a simple if statement in the Django template style. So we create the if statement like this, and this is where we end it. You know, in Python we just end the if statement using the indentations. Python already understand, but since HTML, the indentation doesn't really matter here, we have to end it using the tags. So now we save that. If I come here and hit refresh, this says no likes because it doesn't have a like, but this says like by one person. So these that have no likes, if I like it, now it says liked by one person. If another person like it, now it should say liked by 2 people. So now we've taken care of that. Everything is working with the likes to this section. So now that we are done with allowing a user to like a post and showing the amount of likes that that post have, the next thing we want to do is to customize the profile page. So right now, to this point, we don't have any profile page. So that means if we see a post and we click on the username, it doesn't take us to the profile page of that user, and we can't even see our own profile page. So let's go ahead and add that feature. Now we're just gonna go back to VS Code, and we're gonna come into the urls.py file. So in here, the first thing I want to do is to create a new URL. So under, let's say, upload, I can just say profile, and what I can say after this profile is slash, and I'll say str column dk, and then I can close it. So now this is basically just gonna have the profile page slash the user. So that's gonna be the link to get a user's profile page, and I can take it to views.profile right here. and the name can also be profile. So now I can come into views and I can just close up this like post, and right here I can say def profile request, and I'll just return render request profile dot html. So this profile is coming from this profile.html. So that's the template we're going to use. So now to be able to go to a user's profile, we need to go to profile slash the username. That's what we're going to do. So first of all, let's go into our app and see what that is going to give us. So let's say profile slash, so the username goes here. For now, nothing is going to happen because we didn't even collect this. So right here, after specifying request, we also need to specify the pk. So the pk is what we collected from the URL right here. We said pk is the name or is the key, and the data type is a string. So we can come back here and just save this. Since we collected it, let's hit refresh. Press here, our app is running, and let's see. Good. So this is just the demo profile page, very simple. And as you can see, just have this image. We can go to the home, and it has this dummy like numbers now right here, and it has a button to follow and all this. So what we want to do now is to customize this. So first of all, like when we enter like John, then we should see all the details of John of this. You should see his profile image, his username, his bio, all the posts, and me as the currently login user should be able to follow him. We're also going to do that after this section. So what we want to do now is to go into the views of this profile. First of all, let's also add this login required. And now what we just want to do is to get the user object, first of all, of this user that we're passing. I'm going to say user underscore object should be equals to user dot object dot get username equals to pk. And now that we have the user object, we can get the user profile using the object. So user underscore profile equals to profile dot objects dot get the one in which user is equals to user object. And now that we have that, we can basically pass this user profile. So what we want to do first of all is to pass the user object. Okay, because we're going to pass a lot of things, like if we come in here, we're going to pass the user object, user profile. We're going to pass the amount of posts that our user have. It's better we do this in a context. So let's remove this first of all and say context can be equals to, no, not a list, like this. And we can say user object, give it user object, and also the user profile, give it the user profile. And let's see another thing we need to pass. So we are passing the user object just so we can get like the username of the user. We already have that, but let's just pass it if we later we might need the data from that object later. But what we really need is this user profile, because that's where the profile image, the bio goes. But another thing we want to get is the amount of posts that specific user have. So to do this, we are going to have to say user posts now is equals to post dot object dot filter, and we want to filter the one in which the user is equals to pk. So if we come here to confirm, in the post model, the user is just a character field which we are giving as the username. So the one in which user is equals to pk, as we know, this pk is the username of the currently viewed user. So the one in which user is equal to pk, that's a post that is belonging to this user that we're looking for. So once we have that, we just query all of it, and what we can just do, we can say user post length is equals to, let's say, len, and we can just find the length of user post. Now once we find the length, or once we get the length of this user post, we can be able to use that right here. So we can just say the amount of posts. Another thing we can do now, since we already have all the posts of this user, we can just render it here. So we can also click on it, to view that specific image. So what we're just gonna do is to come back, and once we come back here now, we're gonna pass this, and say user post, and also user post length, and let's just have a comma, and now we can just pass context. Now let's save this. Now that we have this saved, what we can do, first of all, we can use this user profile. Now we're going to come into profile.html, and right here you can see that we have the username of, so what we're just going to say is user profile dot user dot username. And if we come here and hit refresh, what we should see in the title is profile John. So let's come back here and see what's up. So okay, right here we have one we didn't, let's see. Okay, right here should be colon, and that should reload. Good. So if we come here now and hit refresh, as you can see, now we have profile John. Good. So now what we want to do is to just scroll down. First of all, let's copy this profile John. So we're just gonna copy this tag, and we're gonna come down to where we have the username. So let's see, this is where the bio is. That means the username should be up. So right here where we have the username, we are just gonna say user profile or user.username, and for the bio goes here. So right here we'll say user profile dot bio. Doesn't need a username or any other thing. So that's for that, and let's go ahead and check that out. So now we see John, and here we see user profile dot bio. That's because we used only one. We scroll down, only one tag to close it, so that should not be. Now if we hit refresh, we see the bio of that user. I am John, I am the coolest kid. Now let's scroll up back, and let's add the profile image of John. So what we need to do that is right here. What we need is user profile dot profile img. So let's save that and hit refresh. That doesn't work because we need to say .url. So whenever we're getting an image, we need to say .url to get the specific URL of that image. Let's hit refresh. Good. So now we have the profile image of John, and this where we have, let's see, scroll down here, we have upload profile photo. We don't need this because we already have where, so if you come here, you see we have this. We don't want that because we already have where a user can upload profile photo in the home page, but this is working. So we have the username, profile picture, the bio. Now we want to have the amount of posts. We're not going to do for these followers and following for now because we haven't implemented that feature. We're going to come back to it once we have done that. So let's go ahead and say and configure this post. So let's search for where we have 11 posts. So right here, what we're just gonna say is, come back in here now, we see we passed user post length. So we're just gonna say we're gonna change this 11 user post length post. So the user has 2 posts. So what we can just do here also now is to use an if statement. So let's just and say if user post length dot post is equals to 0, then we can just simply say no post. Like this user have no post, and we can copy this again, and we can say if user post length equals 1, then we can say 1 post. Else, that means if it's anything more than that, then copy this and paste, then we can say posts. Now we have that. So now I should say 2 posts with an S. So we have an error. So user post length. So right here it says we didn't close the if tag. What we just need to do to come down where we have this and just basically close that if tag by saying end if. Now we save that and hit refresh. We have 2 posts. The next thing we want to do now is this profile. Is this posts? So as you can see, we just have 3 lists of posts right here. But what we really want to have is the amount of posts the user has. Then it should just show the image. Then when the user clicks on that image, it should open the image wider. So that is what we want to have. And let's go ahead with that. If we come back in here now, what we're just gonna say, we're gonna scroll down, scroll all the way down to right here. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3. Just gonna remove that, and what we're gonna say is right here in this list, gonna say for, let's say for posts in, and right here we sent user posts, all the posts in user posts. Let's just go ahead and end our for loop right here. I was saying for posts in user posts, what we want to do is just to show the URL of that image, that post. We're gonna remove all of these. We're gonna say post dot image dot URL. Let's save it and hit refresh. Now we see the 2 posts and that those images. If we click on it, it still takes us to this image. So to do that, I'm just gonna copy exactly the same thing and change it for here. So let's just cancel all of that. Let's hit refresh. Once we click on one, it takes us to the one for that. We click on the other one, it takes us to the full image of that. So as you can see, what we're just doing now is that we got everything we need, all the data we need, and then we just looped through it in here. Since we have all of this done now, we're pretty much done with this profile image. So yeah, now let's continue with the next part of this project. So in the template of this profile page, once we click on this image, it's just meant to like pop up a modal here that's going to allow us to like slide through all of the images users has posted. So that is not working. What is just happening is that it's taking us to the full image. So that means there is a problem somewhere. If we try to look for it, we'll notice that it's probably from the static, because all those type of stuff will for sure be done with JavaScript. So we should make sure we link all the JavaScript in here, and we scroll here, we'll see that this is just a plain linking without the static or the Django static template. So what we just need to do is to add static and also close it right here. So once we have that and it's saved, so let's wait for that to refresh. And now that that has reloaded, once we click on it, boom, what it just does down here, you see it says 1 out of 2. So if we scroll, it takes us to the next image. If the user uploads another one, it takes us to the next one. Now that's what's beautiful about this thing.